So over here we have Andrew Donnella Jr. at strike. Andrew, what do you think about drinking and drugs as an issue in school? Is there an issue?
Well, I think there's a little bit of an issue. I'm not sure that strike needs to interfere with that, but I think there's definitely an issue with kids drinking underage and having access to and doing drugs before it's legal to do so. I think that's a prevalent issue in our community.
When it comes to learning differences in strike, do you think that students that have a learning difference have a major disadvantage?
I don't really think they have a major disadvantage because I think the teachers are really open to helping them and giving them extra time to do assignments or staying a little bit after the bell to finish a test because they understand that the students might need longer.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So over here we have Stephanie Ford, sophomore at St. Agnes. Stephanie, how do you feel about, how do you think students react to homosexuality in school?
Well, I don't think a lot of people act on it negatively, but there are a few people who are very nice towards it. And personally, I know some people are very homophobic, and they're very religious students, but it's not a very chronic problem. It's only maybe a few people in the school, so it's not a big problem.
So as you know, bullying is a major issue in many schools. Do you think it is an issue in either of our schools?
I don't think physical bullying is a problem, but I do think, verbal bullying is a problem. They just say kind of rude comments here and there, but it's not huge, like, hey, whatever, I don't know. But there's no, physical touching. I've never seen that before, so I don't know.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
So over here we have Andrea to the left and Ellie who just walked away to the right.
Sorry. Hi. Okay.
How do y'all feel about high school relationships? And does it give a positive effect or a negative effect to the students?
I think. Okay, go ahead.
No, wait, it's only one person.
Just go.
I think it gives it's not negative. I think it'll give you experience for the future. So I don't think it's a negative thing. And it's usually especially in Strike and St. Agnes, it's not usually a problem. People aren't missing out. Sometimes, but not everywhere. So I don't think it's necessarily a negative concept. Ellie, what would you have to say about this?
What you said.
Yeah, so two people agree.
So as you know, many students in both Strike and St. Agnes have learning disabilities like ADHD and things like that. Do you think they have a major disadvantage to students that don't have these learning disabilities?
No, I think that most classes, especially some people that I know that do have those disabilities, they're on top of the game. Everyone's pretty much equal. So I don't think that it's a problem.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So over here we have senior Zach Worsham. Zach, how do you feel about students that use drugs and alcohol in school? Is it a problem?
I think it can be a problem because the students at our school are at a high prestige. There's a lot of discipline that our students have, and so they may know the threshold into which too much drugs and alcohol can affect their schoolwork and not affect their lives. Though there have been recent cases where there have been students that have not known what the threshold is and they've done it in school, and some students have had drug problems releasing them from school and affecting their schoolwork, therefore affecting their lives. So I think it can be a problem for some students. For most students it isn't. It's mostly an upperclassman problem. It's mostly because of the pressures from your friends to do it, other high schools that do it, like music videos and the media that can endorse drinking and alcohol and drugs and the type of music that teens listen to. They endorse drugs and alcohol. So what are we expected to do? We're expected to do drugs and alcohol because that's what we're told to do.
Thank you, Phil.
Not saying that I do it. Not saying that I do it. Not saying that I do it.
Many students in different high schools have issues with bullying. Do you think that students at Strike or St. Agnes have many issues with bullying?
I know some students have issues with bullying. Bullying is not a humongous issue at Strike generally because many of the kids get along very well because most of the kids are upper middle class, and if you're all part of the same group, then you won't bully other kids. With public schools, there's lots of kids. There's rich kids, there's poor kids, there's middle class kids, so they're all going to group together with their each different interests, and they're going to like bully one group, bully the other group, where we don't have that as much. But I have had some friends who have been bullied just because of some other things, some other aspects of things, though they are like more refined aspects of themselves as a person or what they've done or stuff like that. It's not a huge issue, but I think that if it continues being an issue, it could grow into something more.
Thank you for your time. So over here we have Danielle Fortune, a senior at St. Agnes. What do you think about relationships in high school, and do they give a positive or negative influence to students?
I think relationships in high school definitely have a positive influence on students. I think it's kind of the starting off of having relationships in life, and in high school you definitely need people or like a person to be supportive of you, and so I think it's definitely a positive influence.
And when it comes to bullying in school, do you think that there is a high chance of bullying, or do you think that there's a lot of bullying that goes on in school?
I definitely think there is a lot of bullying that goes on in school, and that's maybe not necessarily at St. Agnes and Strake. I think it's probably a bit better than at public schools, but there still is bullying that goes on, and there's many different forms of it, whether it's name calling or like cyberbullying. There's not as much physical bullying, I don't think, but I definitely think there's like emotional things that go on.
Thank you very much. So here we have a senior, Kwok Tran. So Kwok, how do you feel about the issue of homosexuality and how other students deal with it?
I feel that Straight Jesuit nurtures homophobia, and I feel that students are afraid to be themselves because they're afraid that they'll be exiled or bullied or beat up because they feel that being different is hard, and being different is hard, but they just need to know that there are people out there who support them.
Thank you for that. So how do you feel about students with learning disabilities? Do you feel that they have a disadvantage or an advantage in Strike?
I definitely feel that since Straight Jesuit is such a competitive environment, that students with disabilities do have a disadvantage, but there's so many opportunities for them to be equal, to like gain advantages, if that makes sense, to gain ways to make them equal, make a level playing field.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Hello there, Matt Wagner. So in peer ministry, we're looking at doing a forum. How do you feel on the issue of drinking and drug usage in school and the students at Strike Jesuit?
I mean, I don't think it's a really big issue. You know, at most schools, you're going to have a little bit of everything. I haven't seen it, like, on campus ever. I mean, I may have heard stories at other people's houses, but that's all I've really heard about.
How do you feel about homosexuality in students?
Do you mean as in, like...
Do you think, like, students accept it, or does it lead to bullying to other students?
I think there have been cases where somebody's gotten bullied, and maybe the core reason is because they're homosexual, but that's not the reason that the bulliers give. I don't have a problem with it, and I don't really see it much, so...
Well,
yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.